The NFL is back and we are now entering week 2. As you guys know, I did a video on week 2 predictions and that was of course part 1. Today we will do the other 8 games and discuss them all in depth as we usually do, why each team could win and what could potentially go wrong for each team. But before we get started, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as all support is very much appreciated. Now let's begin. And the first game we will discuss is the Panthers at the Bucks. Both teams are 0-1 with the Panthers having lost at home to the Raiders, while the Bucks lost in New Orleans. Carolina on paper is nowhere near as talented as the Bucks are, and that's all there is to it. Position by position, the Bucks have them pretty much everywhere across the board, with the obvious exception at running back, and given that they have Tom Brady and Chris Godwin against a not-so-great secondary, this could be Tom's first huge game from a statistical point for the Bucks. He threw for nearly 240 yards and 2 touchdowns last week, while Teddy Bridgewater nearly had 300 yards in his own rights against the Raiders. Mike Evans was on the injury report before the game and had just 1 catch for 2 yards, so if he does play this week, I would certainly expect a huge day from him, or at least up to his standards, because let's be honest, we all know he's not a 1 catch for 2 yards receiver. Christian McCaffrey will still probably get his, as he is one of the most talented running backs in the past few years, and he started off its 2020 campaign with over 130 total yards and 2 touchdowns. The Bucks have Super Bowl aspirations this year, and to put it nicely, the Panthers simply do not. Give me the Bucks in this one 34-20. And the next game is the Jags at the Titans. Jacksonville is 1-0 after a spectacular performance by Gardner Minshew in Week 1, as he went 19 for 20 with 3 touchdown passes, and while the team may be doing everything in their power to tank, Gardner may prove over the course of the season that he is too good of a quarterback to tank with. Remember, he had more passing touchdowns than Kyler Murray in year number 1, and less interceptions too. Now, the opponent they are playing is a very formidable one, as the Titans went to the AFC Championship game last year, and beat the Broncos in Denver 16-14 to start their year. Given that this game is in Tennessee, and the Jags are doing everything they can to try and get their guy in the draft, I think the Titans start out 2-0. A.J. Brown, if he plays, will be fun to watch him go against C.J. Henderson in what could be a wide receiver-corner rivalry for the next few years. Derrick Henry has over 110 yards rushing already on the year, and had it on an astonishing 31 carries, and while I don't expect him to be given that many carries every week, I do think he will top the century mark for the second consecutive week. Titans 20, Jags 13. And now we head to the Windy City to discuss the Giants and the Bears. The Giants are 0-1 after running back Saquon Barkley had just 6 yards on 15 carries in a Monday night loss, while the Bears are 1-0 after a big fourth quarter comeback. Just being honest here, I don't expect the Giants to have many wins in 2020. They have a young quarterback, a young running back, receivers that aren't great, and an offensive line that isn't great either. We saw on Monday night that when teams focused on stopping Saquon, they can do that pretty easily. Now, he will break out a run here and there, but more often than not, he will have short runs like all running backs would when the odds are stacked against them. Saquon is an all-world running back, but loading the box and forcing Daniel Jones to beat teams will be the game plan for everyone until he proves he can do that. And going up against a Chicago defense as loaded as they are on the road, I don't see any way they can come out with a win. Even if the Bears offense has Mitch as their quarterback, and if they aren't as good as a Chiefs or Ravens offense, they can score enough points to beat the Giants, which is the name of the game. This will be a low-scoring one, and I think the Bears win their home opener 17-10. And the next game is a game between 2 surprising undefeated teams, which is the football team and the Arizona Cardinals. I personally didn't expect Washington to come out with a win against Philly last week, but they ended up winning by double digits. And Arizona had unprecedented hype with the Kyler and DeAndre duo, and surprisingly, lived up to those enormous expectations in Week 1. Things will be much different for each team this week though, as Washington is traveling nearly 3,000 miles, while Arizona gets the comfort of staying home all week. While Washington was phenomenal last week with their pass rush, they won't be able to get 8 sacks as a team every week, and I think we will see how much Arizona adjusts to that in Week 2. Chase Young had his first of hopefully many sacks just last week, and while he still could have a sack this week, the Cavalry certainly won't be attacking like they were against Philly. I would expect Cliff to change the game plan, or at least adjust Kyler to very quick passes, as their line, nor as many in the entire NFL, built to stop all of these guys. I don't think Washington will be able to put up 27 points every game like they did in the first game, but I do think Arizona will be able to put up points. Great teams figure out how to win, and Arizona should take care of Washington at home. The Riverboat Ron era will certainly have positives, but remember, the roster they have, at the moment at least, isn't all that good. Arizona 24, Washington 16. And the next game is between the Ravens and Texans, or Lamar versus Deshaun. This game will be in Houston, and the last time these teams played, the Ravens absolutely mauled them with a score of 41-7. While either team could win this game, I think it is fair to say we won't see a 34-point game like we did in 2019. The Ravens entered that one scorching hot and made quick work of the Texans, and while I think they are hot entering this one, I don't think the Texans get blown out by them in back-to-back years. Even though the Ravens are better than the Texans on paper, Houston certainly didn't forget how bad they felt after that loss and how Baltimore made them feel. They made them feel absolutely humiliated. I do think Lamar will outplay Deshaun again, and that his team will beat Deshaun's team again, just with a not-so-lopsided score. Now, with that being said, I have Houston starting out 0-2, but the good news is their division isn't all that good. They could still very well make the playoffs, and I want people to know as I record this to never underestimate Deshaun Watson. He could play hero ball and miraculously lead Houston to a win over Baltimore, but as I've already said, I have the Ravens winning with a score of 35-27. And next we have the Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs against the undefeated Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs looked absolutely unstoppable in Week 1, and the scary part for the rest of the NFL was it was a pretty vanilla game plan. The last 4 times the Chiefs have played the Chargers, they have averaged over 30 points per game, and a defense that doesn't have Derwin James that's already shorthanded will be tested even more. They targeted Tyreek Hill just 6 times in Week 1, and Tyreek has feasted on the Chargers before, as in the 2018 opener, he had 7 catches for over 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. I certainly don't expect Sammy Watkins to be the Chiefs' leading receiver in 2020, and because of that, Tyreek and Travis Kelce could have field days. The Chiefs also didn't pay Patrick Mahomes $500 million to hand the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire every game, so we will gradually see Pat throw the ball more. And no disrespect to Clyde either, but he won't get 400 carries in a season, which is what he is currently on pace for entering the weekend. The Chargers barely escaped Cincinnati with a win in Week 1, and Kansas City is miles better of a team than Cincy is and should have no problem with the division rival Chargers. Kansas City 34, Los Angeles 23. And next we go to the Super Bowl 49 rematch, which of course is the Patriots and Seahawks. Now, I never would have thought we would have Cam Newton, the Patriot, playing against Russ and the Seahawks, but here we are. The Patriots are 1-0 in a game where they intercepted Ryan Fitzpatrick 3 times, and in a game where Cam Newton had 2 rushing touchdowns. Seattle, on the other hand, played in Atlanta and put up 38 points, in a game where Russell Wilson had as many incompletions as he did touchdown passes. Now, this game on Sunday night is interesting in a lot of ways, because the Patriots defense is very good, and they will be playing an undisputed top 5 quarterback in the NFL, of course, in Russell. The Patriots gave up 300 yards passing just once in 2019, and it was to Ryan Fitzpatrick of all players. Will they give up 300 yards to Russell Wilson is a question we will find the answer to on Sunday night. As for Cam Newton, he only threw for 155 yards in Week 1, and I do think if the Patriots win this game, he will have to throw for more than that against Seattle. As good of a defense as New England is, I think with them being 3,000 miles from home, and Seattle always playing better in their stadium, this could be very high scoring. The over-under is just 44.5, and with Russell and Cam going toe-to-toe, I would certainly take the over. Due to the location and preferring Russell to Cam, give me the Seahawks in this one, 31-28. And the final game for today's video is of course the Monday night game, which is the Saints at the Raiders. Both teams enter this game 1-0, but the Saints will be without one of the best receivers in all of football, that of course being Michael Thomas. Now this may sound crazy, but I don't think Thomas being out will hurt them all that much in the short run, because the Saints still put up 34 points against the Bucks, and if you want to say 7 was from the defense, then regardless they still put up 27. Michael Thomas had 3 catches for less than 20 yards, so his impact wasn't all that big in Week 1 to begin with. 27 points will be enough to beat the Las Vegas Raiders on Monday night, as Josh Jacobs won't rush for 3 touchdowns every week like he did against the Panthers. For the Saints, I would imagine their game plan will be to take Josh out of the game early and to force Derek Carr to beat them, similarly to how the Steelers did the Giants last Monday night. The Saints will have to get creative and feed Alvin Kamara the football a lot, and honestly give Taysom Hill some more opportunities. He was 1 for 1 last week with a 38-yard completion, and I don't think he's a franchise quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but when he is on the field, he must always be accounted for. Thomas being out will hinder them ever so slightly, but Sean Payton and Drew Brees are former Super Bowl champions and know they have to adjust when things are thrown their way. They went 5-0 with a backup quarterback last year, and I think it's fair to say Drew being out would have hurt them more than Michael Thomas being out. So with that being said, I have the Saints winning this one with a score of 28-17. And with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you ever have a video suggestion, please leave it in the comments. I truly appreciate all the support. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.